This is the Fifth Estate Reading Headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Fortal School of Government. In this segment, we will summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 8th of April 2021, and I am 2M.
I am CS.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, power women driving politics. In the Standard, Raila's party about turn on flag bearer. And in the Star, big hotels empty, small owners are hurt by COVID, and other stories. We have a three-part criteria that we will use to break down the headlines. We will ask ourselves, is it topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? Is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? What are we reviewing today, gents?
Now, from August 2020, the Nation Media Group has been on an onslaught against the state. In our view, it's got nothing to do with debt or IMF or loans. It may have everything to do with interests. And not small interests like Nation Media interests, nah. This, in our view, are more like AGA-KHAN interests. His Highness the AGA-KHAN, the owner of Nation Media Group. And going by the patterns of malice by the media house, may have everything to do with land, cash, and elections. And here is why. On 14th of August 2020, President Uhuru Kenyatta opened Nairobi's Mishuki Park. The park was formerly a dump site full of criminals, garbage, and all manner of dark activity. But the story that isn't told is that some people allegedly acting for the AGA-KHAN claimed the land was theirs and it was allegedly given to them by the Queen.
The Queen of England.
Yes. And they were livid. How dare the president turn our land into a space for Africans to come and enjoy some green spaces, they must have asked themselves. So they apparently wanted revenge. 2 days later, a Nation Media pawn by the name of Dennis Okawi, I think that's what the name is, released the 2020 blockbuster of the year, COVID Millionaires. A well-produced expose featuring known conmen aired on NTV and accused government of eating Jack Ma's donations. And oh, wasn't it captivating? Revenge had been served cold. Where am I going with this? The recent onslaught by NMG has the same pattern. But this time round, there's a bigger endgame. And if the AGA-KHAN has some more pieces of land that may have been fraudulently obtained, he probably fears they will be repossessed and be made into beautiful green spaces just like Mishuki Park. And an international prince like him, with that kind of stature, doesn't beg governments. He looks for people that can protect his interests long term. Question is, who is that person in Kenya? Who is that person who would have no qualms eating their AGA-KHAN money and selling Kenyans for a song? Take a guess. He is a clue. His name begins with R.
Wow. Didn't see that coming.
Daily Nation. I too take issue with the Nation. Power women driving politics.
Yes.
Pow! Powerful headline.
Yes.
And I was ready to delve into an article which I expected would be just as powerful. But unfortunately, it reads like it was pieced together 5 minutes before going to print. Allow me to give you one example. Here's one line from the article. The spouses of President Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto, Margaret and Rachel, respectively, also belong to this group, this power women driving politics.
Yeah.
I kid you not, the article says nothing more about them. That's it. They're powerful because they're married to them.
Yes.
In fact, I'm going to toss it right now. All we have in this article is a list of a few names accompanied by a wanting description of who those ladies are. The article doesn't even betray a decent effort at being speculative. There's no explanation as to how the list of names were curated, why those women are powerful, what they've accomplished, what authority they wield and how it is displayed, and what political choreography is being orchestrated at their behest.
Yes.
The Daily Nation missed a great opportunity. There's a rich array of content regarding women in power to choose from. And because I don't want to follow suit and also miss an opportunity, allow me to highlight a case in point, and I'll do so in the context of my favorite topic, BBI. There's a real opportunity for women empowerment that is beckoning on the horizon, a new dawn that cements the place of women in Kenya's politics, and it is nested in BBI in what I refer to as the gender agenda. Allow us to highlight two things. Number one, effectively, all 47 counties will either have a woman governor or a woman deputy governor. And whereas in the past, deputy governors have often been sidelined, what the BBI ensures now is that every deputy governor will have a ministerial docket. And if you also consider that the resources being devolved to the counties on average are being doubled, it means that all across the country, you will have 47 very powerful women. Actually, there are more than 47. There are 94, which brings me to my second point. BBI also proposes that every county will have a woman senator in addition to a male senator. Now, don't fall into the trap of thinking these are just women reps being moved to the Senate. The 47 women in the Senate will have immense oversight powers because they will now be able to interrogate how every coin is being utilized in the county. In the past, Senate only interrogated devolved funds, but now its oversight will be on all county funds, including county revenue, own county revenue, county debt, and donor funds. That means women issues in all counties can now be addressed holistically from the perspective of the whole ecosystem. Before this, nominated women couldn't even vote in the Senate because of the rule of voting by delegation. Now you have at least 94 powerful women across the country, a minimum of 47 in the county executive and a minimum of 47 in the Senate. Now these, we can say, will be the power women driving politics.
Fantastic. I like the rendition.
Fantastic.
So today I'd like to address the confusion at ODM House that was alluded to in the Standard.
Yes.
ODM hinted at the possibility of extending the application deadline for presidential candidates to accommodate none other than party leader Raila Odinga. So only Oparanya and Joho had applied by the March 31st deadline. Now, knowing Baba Man the way we do, here at the Fifth Estate, we read some mischief into Baba missing this deadline. Granted, he is the party and the party is him.
Yes.
But just maybe Raila knows something that the rest of ODM doesn't know about 2022.
Precisely.
And that is that there might not actually be an election in 2022.
Yes.
So if we read his strategy in this light, then his missing of the deadline makes sense.
Yes.
And the extension is just therefore a mockery.
Yes.
But in the event that it isn't a mockery, let us discern some lessons from history. Now, we know that every election has a kingmaker, and a kingmaker is a person or a group that has great influence on a political succession, without themselves being that viable candidate. So in 2002, Raila had the Tosha magic, and this is how he made Kibaki king. In 2013, the Tosha magic was with RUTO, to him. Yes. And without Ruto, Uhuru could not have become the president. And in 2017 election, the Tosha magic was with the Mulembe nation, and whoever the Mulembe backed became the NASA candidate. And that's how we saw, Mudavadi saying Raila Tosha, and so he became the NASA candidate.
Yes.
Now, the big question then is who will be the kingmaker to Raila in 2022? So if politics is war, to win, Raila must not respond to events. He must instead direct the events.
Yes.
But as friends of Raila here at the Fifth Estate, we must also check Baba Man's reality.
Yes.
This is because the laws of natural selection are bound to take effect in the 2022 election.
Yes.
Laws that will be dictated and powered by none other than ethnic arithmetic.
Correct.
One, we know that should there be an election in 2022, it is likely that no one candidate will attain 50% plus one. Therefore, it will go to a runoff. Two, it is in this runoff that the laws of natural selection would take effect, such that whoever Gamma backs or is kingmaker to is likely to emerge as number one.
Yes.
And the Luya nation will have the number two candidate. Everyone else's goose is cooked, including Ruto's. And this is how it becomes possible, hear me out, for someone like Matiang'i to become the president. The laws of natural selection kick in.
Fantastic.
So with that, we had 3 headlines. Are we giving or awarding any or winning headlines?
Throw away.
All of them?
Yeah, in fact, the Nation, if you read the
Nation was already tossed by CS.
People should use it as toilet paper.
Oh, wow.
Tomorrow.
So there you have it. No winning headlines today.
And now our final thought. It is inspired by the assassination of Indira Gandhi.
Now, all through this week, we are discussing assassinations that rocked the globe and which echoed through time. Today, as Tuem pointed out, we discussed the assassination of Indira Gandhi. As I reflected on today's final thought, I couldn't help draw parallels between Indira and 2 other powerful women leaders, Margaret Thatcher in politics and socioeconomics, and Benazir Bhutto in life and ultimate demise. But first, who was Indira? Prime Minister of India between 1966 and 1977, and subsequently 1980 to 1984. Indira was born to a political family of freedom fighters. Her grandfather and her father were leading the struggle for freedom under the Indian National Congress. Her father, Jawaharlal Nehru, was the first Prime Minister of India. She was born in 1917, exactly a year after her father met Mahatma Gandhi for the first time, and several months after the Russian Bolshevik Revolution.
Nice.
Her education began through the letters written to her by her father from prisons, providing her glimpses of Indian history and the evolution of Indian society. It was in fact her father who pointed out to her that she was born a few months after the Bolshevik Revolution in a letter he wrote to her on her 13th birthday. And in the funny way that life works, it's interesting that the Soviet Union would later be one of Indira Gandhi's most loyal allies on the global stage when she would later come to the helm of leadership. Her family was a real political dynasty. Her grandfather was a freedom fighter, and her father was the first prime minister, as I pointed out. She was prime minister for a cumulative 15 years. Her son Sanjay was also a member of parliament. Her son Rajiv was later prime minister before being assassinated as well. Rajiv's wife Sonia Gandhi would take over as leader of the political party for 22 years before being succeeded by her son Rahul Nehru, who is now also a member of parliament. And some 3 of Indira's grandchildren are currently prominent Indian politicians.
Wow.
But other than the dominance of her family, how is she remembered? The most powerful of leaders often tend to be very polarizing figures.
Yeah.
In line with this, debates about the legacy of Indira gave rise to fierce passions. There are those who declare unequivocally that she was the finest prime minister of India, and that one only needs to look at her hand not only in India but also in Bangladesh and the impact that she had there. But one of the greatest controversies that attends her legacy is what is widely agreed to be also the cause of her assassination, Operation Blue Star, which put her at loggerheads with the Sikh community. Indira took the view that as prime minister, despite her respect for the Sikh community and religion in general, she also could not idly abide misguided elements who would hide behind the veil of religion to cause harm to national unity and integrity. So controversially, she took the decision to send tanks into the Golden Temple, the equivalent of the Mecca or Vatican for Sikhs, to uproot the misguided elements who were hiding there. In the aftermath of Blue Star, many advisors suggested she remove Sikh personnel from her security arrangements. She refused to agree to this and said it would convey a totally wrong message.
What a fatal mistake. On October 31st, 1984, Indira Gandhi was on her way to meet British actor Peter Ustinov, who was filming a documentary for Irish television. He was going to interview her. At around 9:10 a.m., Indira was walking through the garden of the Prime Minister's residence at number 1 Safdurjung Road in New Delhi. Gandhi had 2 trusted Singh bodyguards waiting for her at the gate. The names were Beyant Singh and Satwant Singh. As soon as she crossed the gate, those trusted guards opened fire at her. Sub-Inspector Beyant Singh fired 3 rounds into her abdomen from his .38 revolver. Satwant Singh then fired 30 rounds from his Sterling submachine gun into her after she had fallen to the ground. Yeah, it's proper overkill. At around 9:30 a.m., she was rushed to hospital. She had been shot 30 times and was still alive. She got to hospital and the doctors did an operation on her. It was then that they discovered that 23 shots went through her and 7 bullets were lodged in her body. 5 hours later, she succumbed to her injuries. Lady had been shot 30 times and was alive for 5 hours. But what's puzzling, it's like she knew her death was stalking her. She knew death was stalking her. A day before her death, she said in a speech at a place called Odisha, "I am alive today and will not be there tomorrow. I do not care whether I live or die. I have lived a long life and I'm proud that I spent the whole of my life in the service of my people. I shall continue to serve till my last breath. And when I die, every drop of my blood will strengthen India and keep a united India alive.
Wow.
Powerful.
Interesting stuff. I really loved exploring her life.
Yeah.
And just, you know, like you said, yes, she was a very polarizing figure. So I want to speak a bit about the emergency that led to a lot of people sort of wondering, why did she do that? So on June 25th, 1975, she called for a national state of emergency in India, effectively ending its democracy. So under this, 21 months of basically becoming a ruling authoritarian dictator. And under this, she, you know, there was limited rights. You couldn't, you know, she banned media freedom. There was a lot of repressive things happening in that 21 months. But she said that the goal of the 21-month-long emergency in the country was to control internal disturbance, for which now, like I said, the constitutional rights were suspended and freedom of speech and press withdrawn. And she gave 3 reasons. She said India's security and democracy was in danger owing to the movement launched by Jayaprakash Narayan. And 2, she was of the opinion that there was a need for rapid economic development and upliftment of the underprivileged. And 3, she warned against the intervention of powers from abroad. So she was very skeptical of interference from abroad.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is that there was an election held right after that, after they delayed the one that was within the period. They voted her out. But within just 3 years, they brought her back. And what was interesting is that, paradoxically, after the emergency, it made her very committed to promoting democratic norms. And this is because of the political dynasty that CS spoke about.
Yeah.
You know, the fight for freedom and all that, and what democracy had done for her family.
Yes.
So she was very committed to bringing that back.
Yes.
But also, it was during Indira's time that India became the 3rd largest reservoir of skilled scientific and technical manpower.
Yes.
It was the 5th military power.
Yes.
It was the 6th member of the nuclear club.
Yeah.
And it was the 7th in the race for space and the 10th industrial power. So she took what she had to do, which was the period of emergency, and she made the case for India's development. She said, we have to jeopardize our political atmosphere and environment in order to uplift the economy of India. And I think we can see that it's a testament to that today. In fact, I think a lot of our vaccines are coming from
Absolutely.
from India, isn't it?
Yes.
So what I liked was, Indira's Iron Lady sort of nature. She said, all my games were political games. I was like Joan of Arc, perpetually being burnt at the stake. And she thrived being at the stake. I think that's where she really, made her best decisions. She was loyal to her nation, and she expected loyalty from her team as well. And once she made a decision, she never looked back. I think in 1971, she demonstrated this really well when she combated genocide in eastern Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I'll end with this. History is replete with biases, and politics is pregnant with contradictions. Assessing legendary historical figures such as Indira Gandhi must be attempted at with open mind and accommodative temper, drawing inspiration from her achievements and learning from her unscrupulousness. And so the lesson must be learned from Indira's life, that every defeat can be turned into a stepping stone for success. On a day where we had no winning headlines, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on TV, or on GoTV, Prime Free to Air, and Star Times.
And that is how you analyze power women.
There you go,
Politics.
to the Daily Nation.